All right, let's get into the weekend games. Starting on Saturday, we're going to start with number 7, LSU minus 3.5 versus Arkansas. The over/under is 62.5. This game is interesting. LSU coming off a stellar performance against Alabama, winning that game in the end. We all saw it. They went for 2. Congratulations to LSU. Knocked Bama out of the playoffs for now, but it's Bama, the name recognition. They might get back in. Jaden Daniels, you guys both know I love him. He's electric to watch. He's the entire LSU offense, but I'm a little worried of a letdown spot here. I'm going to start with Trey. Trey, what do we think on this game?
Well, these are two teams moving in two different directions with the trends that I'm about to give you. So I'll just start off by saying LSU minus 3.5. LSU is 6-2 ATS in their last 8 games, while Arkansas is 2-5 ATS in their last 7 games. LSU is 6-2 ATS versus a team with a winning record, while Arkansas is 1-5 ATS versus a team with a winning record. So the trends are telling me LSU minus 3.5. Jesse, Daniels is a stud. He could play his way into the Heisman if they win out. Who knows? So I'm going to go LSU minus 3.5.
Yeah, I was reading a story that pick kind of concerns me a little bit because of where the money's at. But yesterday I saw a story. LSU is the highest bet on side so far this year in college football. This week, more money action on them than 22 of the 28 teams playing on Sunday. So I'm a little worried where the money's at, but I think LSU is the correct side. I'm going to go ahead and do the over 62.5. Arkansas's offense can score, and Arkansas defense is bad. So LSU is probably going to put up 40 in this game. So I'm going to take the over 62.5. Teats, what do you have?
And hey, I will say this before Teats goes. Arkansas lost last week to Liberty. Liberty's nowhere near LSU, so I think that's probably why people are hammering LSU. But there could always be a letdown game, but we'll see what Brian Kelly does. Go ahead, Teats.
I'll say I was actually going to mention that too. So looking at the past 2 games for LSU, they've had back-to-back top 10 wins. They took down Ole Miss, and then they took down Alabama last week. And yeah, Liberty beat Arkansas last week. And Liberty's a good team, but they're not a SEC dominating type team. So I don't know.
They don't got Malik Willis no more either.
They don't. Dude, I kind of feel like this is a trap game. KJ Jefferson's getting back healthy. I feel like LSU, even though I was looking for injury reports, they didn't seem to be too banged up after the Bama game. I just feel like they're going to be riding too high after this one. I'm going to actually go with Arkansas plus 3.5.
Wow, Arkansas pick. I will back you up with that pick, Teats. Arkansas is averaging 37.3 points per game in the last 3 games. So it could be a battle, but I'm leaning towards LSU. But let's move on. Let's go number 10, Alabama versus number 11, Ole Miss. Alabama is minus 11.5. The over-under is 64.5. Teats, I'm going to start with you on this one.
It's funny because every time I've ever seen Alabama in a situation like this, it's typically closer to the bowl time. Yeah. And it comes down to, does Alabama want to finish out their season, or are they just going to give up and just call it for next year? I think that Alabama goes into Ole Miss and gets a loss. I'm taking Ole Miss plus 11.5, honestly. I would probably take the money line as well.
I love it.
I think that, the thing is it's such a polar situation. Either Alabama's going to come in and absolutely obliterate Ole Miss, or they're going to come in super flat from their losses and just continue their downward trend.
Yeah, and Alabama this season on the road, not great, guys. They should have lost to Texas early. They won that game 20-19, and they're coming off 2 road losses to Tennessee and LSU. Ole Miss is not a gimme game for them. This is their Super Bowl. Ole Miss probably won't make the playoffs, and they want to win this game. So I'm going to take Ole Miss plus the 11.5 at home. Trey, what do you have?
Come on, guys. Have you guys not learned from watching Alabama under Nick Saban after a loss? I'm going to give you guys a few trends. Alabama is 5-0 ATS after a loss. That's probably like a 5-year stat because they haven't lost 5 games in I don't know how long. But Ole Miss, and you said Alabama's terrible on the road. Ole Miss is just as bad at home. Ole Miss is 1-6 ATS in their last 7 home games. And Ole Miss has only covered 1 game in their last 6 games. So I'm going to go Alabama minus 11.5 there. I think that they're going to be pissed off that they lost to LSU last week, and they're going to blow out Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, and Teats said it. Either Alabama's going to thump them or Alabama's going to lay down and die, and they usually don't lay down and die. So it'll be an interesting game on that one. Yeah. We're moving on to number 24, Washington versus number 6, Oregon. Oregon is minus 13.5 at home. The over-under is set at 72.5. I'm going to start. Vegas is giving the over-bettors a challenge here, and challenge accepted, Vegas, because I'm taking the over. Oregon has scored 40-plus points in 8 straight games, and Washington love to give up points. Michael Phoenix Jr. for Washington is going to score against this Oregon Ducks defense. Oregon alone should hit 50. Bo Nix is having a great season for the Ducks. I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take the Ducks because the Ducks need to win this game to get in the playoffs. Ducks minus 13.5, over 72.5. And the Ducks over team total points. I don't think it's out yet, but I'll probably take it. It'll be like 47.5 probably, but I'm still going to take it. Pete, what about you?
Oh, so this is kind of where we're gonna kind of go a separate way. I do agree with the over for the 72.5. I really do. Bo Nix has been playing out of his mind. I actually think he's got his name into the Heisman candidate hopeful right now. And yeah, no, Oregon literally has not scored less than 40 points since their week 1 loss against Oregon or against Georgia. So they've been absolutely on fire, and they absolutely have been smashing everyone they've played. However, even though Washington has had some close wins against Arizona, against California, a loss against Arizona State, I just feel like this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be a trap game. I feel like everything says Oregon. Everything makes sense for Oregon. I'm going to go against it. I'm going Washington plus 12.5.
Yeah, and I don't hate the Washington pick because everything's trending towards Oregon, but again, Oregon needs this game to get in the playoffs, so I think they'll put their best foot forward. Trey, what about you?
I'm going to agree with Jesse here. Oregon's going to need to dominate this game. They're ranked 6th, and they need to start putting statement wins together because the Pac-12 doesn't have very many quality opponents, and Washington might be the second best team in the Pac-12. Well, I guess there's USC, but I'm going to hammer Oregon minus 12.5. I had it 13.5, but it dropped a point, so I'm going to hammer that even more. Oregon is 5-0 ATS in their last 5 games. Washington is 0-5 ATS in their last 5 games. Oregon is 6-0 ATS in their last 6 home games. Washington is 0-4 ATS in their last 4 road games. So what does that tell you? Oregon's going to dominate this game. Washington can't cover on the road. Oregon covers all the time at home. They need to start making statement wins. They're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns easily.
Yeah, and I think if Oregon wins this game, it'll be a USC versus UCLA matchup next week, I believe. And that team will play Oregon in the Pac-12 championship to, in my opinion, go to the playoffs. It'll be 2 9-1 teams playing each other. So Oregon needs this win bad. Let's move on. I think this is the best game of the week. Number 4 TCU versus number 18 Texas. Texas minus 7. Over under is 64.5. Texas at home minus 7 against the number 4 TCU. Horned Frogs, Trey, what do we think on this game?
Well, I'm kind of depressed because both these teams beat K-State, and K-State should be ranked in the playoff, but it is what it is. They had a rough season, but I'm going to go TCU plus 7.5 here. They've been covering Warriors this year, and I think that they have the opportunity in front of them. As of right now, they are in the playoff. Texas might be their biggest opponent so far this season, and Texas is 5-1 ATS at home. That's the only thing that worries me is that they are great at home. But TCU is 4-1 ATS in their last 5 games in Austin, so TCU doesn't stand down to Texas. And TCU is also 6-2 ATS in their last 8 games against Texas. And TCU is 7-1 ATS in their last 9 games. So TCU has been very great at covering this year. I'm surprised that the spread's so high to 7.5. I don't know what Texas has done to kind of make them favored by a touchdown, but so I'll take TCU plus the points.
Yeah, and you said it. Texas minus 7.5 makes no sense whatsoever. I will say, though, TCU has caught a lot of breaks this season. I think the last 5 games they've played, the quarterback for the opposing team has gone out with injury. That's just a good – they had a lot of good comebacks. Your K-State Wildcats came back against them. The spread minus 7, it's very weird to me, so I'm going to stay away from the side on this game, and I'm going to take the over. It's my overs week. 64.5 points with these 2 teams seems like nothing. Bijan Robinson will probably have 4 touchdowns alone. So yeah, I'll take the over 64.5. Teats, what do we think?
You know, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed that I made this my members lock because let me tell you, I'm ready to go in on this one, but you guys are just gonna have to read about it whenever I get that article out.
Yep, BearsProfitPlays.com member locks. Become a member, see all those locks from us.